Katie, did you notice that there were same reactions to some films here as there were in the States?
I don't know, were anyone crying during the Cardboard Box? We had a lot of criers during Cardboard Box.
That was the saddest thing.
It's so sad. Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people were upset by the cough at the end of Laughs, thinking that it was seeming the guy was going to die. There's a little bit of that as well. But yeah, thank you guys for coming.
What's the name of the film that won it?
Oh, so the French film that was all made from shadows was one of the winners. Did you guys figure out what's going on in that one? It took me a really long time when I first saw it.
It took a while, yeah.
What?
It took me a while.
Yeah, that he had cut out all the shadows from 55 films, and he did it all just streaming them on YouTube and then capturing it, and then it still turned out looking just so pretty terrifying and amazing. Yeah. I mean, this is the first time that we've gotten so many films where people just used archive footage and did really cool stuff.
Yeah.
So, and just told really interesting stories, not just fiddling around making pictures. So it was a really good one. So that one won an award. Love Story, The Split Screen won an award. A really, really scary one that we decided not to show tonight won. It's really scary. It's online. It's called The Nails. I would recommend if you are impervious to nightmares watching it. It's pretty terrifying. And then Cardboard Box won as well. Won Audience Choice Award. Yeah.
What would be the average cost of making one?
Well, some of those are considering you already have your iPhone or a phone with the camera on it, or point and shoot. Some of those were made in a day. The Cardboard Box had a little more. That was made in 2 days in Sweden. 2 days, yeah. I mean, the graffiti one was made in an afternoon. Yeah, it's all the lads are just on there. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. So they buy the spray paint, but that one was made in an afternoon. Yeah, they're an amazing. It's like a group of 3 guys that work together. Yeah. My favorite part of that is when he's jumping. I try to work that into every stop motion animation workshop I do. And some of them would be, I think, if you consider the time it took to make In the Shadows, I guess that would be, I don't know, it took him hours and hours and hours, but it cost him nothing to make it all. And I mean, he had his computer, so I guess, that's the sort of cost. But I know for a fact that he got his computer from school, so he borrowed it.
I'm going to ask you a basic question.
Yeah.
Disposable film, is that, what's it exactly? It's used on your phones, or is it?
So the idea is that it's all films, it's all cameras that are easily accessible. So in the past we've gotten a ton, so that, it started out with a camera that was in 2006. There are these first point and shoot cameras that you actually were disposable.
Yeah.
And you film them and you take them into a chemist and they give you back a DVD.
Yeah.
But then what the festival is really excited about is the way that you could just have a really good idea and then make a film with it and not have to spend any money on it.
Yeah.
You could spend a lot of time on the story. So right now we get films. We started doing stuff with DSLRs because so many schools have access to them and they're doing really cool things with them.
DSLRs?
That kind of camera, a digital point and shoot. We do a lot of point and shoots. There's a couple that are online from a couple years ago. They're these amazing webcams. We get a lot of iPhone and other phone and point and shoot cameras as well.
And Katie, how do because we hear about big budget movies, and it's only recently we hear about a lot of independent productions. So would you be in contact with producers or directors, and how do they respond to this kind of filmmaking?
So one of the guys, I don't know if you could tell in the introduction, there's a guy named Ted Hope who's Siobhan interviewed. He's the biggest indie producer in the States. He's produced 65 films, indie films in the last 15 years. He's just this amazingly prolific guy, and he comes every year and has he's the guy who won for The Nails, the scary film. He's already talking to him about doing a film, which is pretty amazing. So I mean, I think there's a bunch of there's a bunch of producers that are excited about people doing this sort of thing. I think there's a fair number of Hollywood people that are trying to rip this off and still use their big cameras and try to make it look like this. But I think often that There's a reason that the Blair Witch Project's the only one that's really pulled it off, because like actually they did it with the little cameras. But I think there's like producers and people that have money to help people produce things are looking more and more at these type of events, and we get calls from producers all the time asking about like who made something and getting contact information. And a lot of the films that we have here, like 5 of these films were made by people, young people under 25, and since then, you know, they like some of our 3 of our, like, we had 3 teenagers that have gone on to like film school and things like that. So we just try to pass the films on as much as possible.
Would you have any advice for people that would like to maybe go into film production and are perhaps thinking about college or further studies or training? What kind of advice regarding portfolio or experience would you give people?
I'd say the most important thing is to start shooting, like really to just start. I think the hardest thing to do is to start. And the nice thing about using a camera that's in your pocket already is that you like already have the tool. Like one of the things that always kept me from going is I need to get my camera out, I need to rent it, I need to have the lights, but like the whole idea here is you need to figure out what the constraints are, you need to find good natural lighting, and then start shooting. And I think a lot of these stories are the type of stories that like you might talk about with a friend, but never quite do.
Yeah.
And this is like finally like you remove that thing of like, oh, I don't need to ask my mom for this. I don't need to ask my teacher if I can borrow this. Like I'm just gonna make it. So it's just starting shooting and do simple editing. Most of these are really simply edited.
What do they use mainly the video?
So some of them are in camera. A couple, like we get a fair bit that's in camera. A lot of people use Final Cut. A lot of people use. We got several iMovie. Some After Effects. So people sort of use whatever they have. We've had a couple that Windows Movie Maker edited on like a library computer.
If you're out doing workshops and you want to carry on with yourselves at home, I mean, a lot of people have PCs and never know what to recommend. Say, do you have a Movie Maker?
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, so like Movie Maker's got what you need, you know, like if you're doing simple cuts and you're not trying to do a bunch of effects afterward, it's got like if you think that through beforehand and think of what the story is going to look like. I've put together things in QuickTime before. You just cut them and then you put them in the same timeline and turn it into one film. You can condense them. Yeah, it's just finding ways to hack sort of what you already have. The Flips cameras have a flip share program. They do the same way you can edit. That's free with the cameras.
Also, you're probably familiar with YouTube as a video hosting platform, but they've introduced a video editor as well. So now it's even easier. You just upload your video clips and then you edit them online, and then you can share them straight away. And Vimeo have done that as well, and they've created an app for it. So it's getting easier and easier, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the tough questions are like, oh yeah, I don't have an Apple. I'd say a good number of those are people editing on their Apples, but it's not it doesn't mean you can't tell a good story, I think. Yeah, and the especially sad one called Princess, it was a story about her having cancer and she's survived. She is a survivor, just so you know. It's not a really sad story. That was just compiled in, we took all those stills, and the first cut of it that we saw was just like one still after another, and he did it as a slideshow. And then after he had the time, we said, please put the time in to make this into a film. Because he wasn't sure if it was a story yet, and then he used Final Cut.
We happen to have a festival going on in this town right up until the weekend, and if any of you guys are interested in maybe making your own mobile media films, obviously we'd encourage that. But if any of you are inclined to take out your mobile phone or any other form of camera that you have for the next few days of the festival, then please do, and please send them to info@Owenry Festival, and we're curious, we'd like to have a look at them and see maybe what we can do with them from there. If you want to edit them yourselves, do, but any clips you have, it'd be great to gather them.
And the other thing is, so we have, right now, it would be awesome if all the artists that are going to be banging around here for the next week, if you have anything that you have done on this, we'd love to have it submitted. And if you want to make anything in the next, few months, our submissions are due the end of October. So you've got a few months to put something together. And then at the end of September, these festivals, there's like a bunch of prizes. They're usually like cameras and things and editing support and editing software. We also have a health film festival, which is what the cancer film's about. And that has a cash prize. We're trying to just get better film about health and health experiences, and it has a cash prize. I've said it twice because I would love to have it. I just can't take it myself. So that one, and that's due at the end of September. So we'd love to see any and all stuff.
Does GoPro count as a cabinet?
It does, yeah. GoPros count, yeah. All the sort of like mountable cameras, look-sees, yeah. For a while we had like a price range, but mostly it's like if you know, as long as it's not like an big expensive camera, you can get your hands on it somehow. Like that's disposable. Borrow it, whatever. Yeah. So our website is disposablefilmfest.com, and we'd love to see anything and all. I think for health films, like submission is free. We got a film that costs 50 cents. So.
And do you go through all this?
I watch every single one of them. So
Are you serious?
yeah, last year we got 1,000 submissions, and I watched every single one, which it means I feel a little bit crazed, but yeah, crazed. You know the feeling, yeah. But then we get it down to about 100, and then we have a screening committee watch it, and then from that 100 we get about 20, and then we send it to judges who are with 3 producers, 1 director, an audio editor, and a couple of comedy writers. So they watch them all, give them a rating, and that's how we award prizes. Yeah. And that happens every year in San Francisco in March. You guys are all very welcome. We'd love to have you.
And the film festival is every year, yes?
Yes, we have the main event at the end of March every year in San Francisco, and then it travels around. It's what?
That's pretty swish.
It is nice. Well, I mean, it's where I live, so it's much easier to like use my friends' spaces to film and to screen it. But yeah, and then it travels around. You guys are the first Irish stop.